So now we're going to write an equation in slope-intercept form. And to do that, we just need to know two things. We need to know the slope, or m, and we need to know the y-intercept, which is often the b. So we're going to write our equation y equals mx plus b and look for those two things in our graph. So in our graph, the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-intercept, which it crosses right here. So that'd be the -2. So now we know the slope. So now we just need, we know the intercept. So now we just need the slope. So to figure out the slope, we can use the 2 points that are given to us. We have a -4 and 1 and 0 and -2, and we can determine the slope by subtracting those. So I'm going to do a -1 minus -2 over -4 minus 0, and that's going to be 1 over -4. And so now we have our slope, so I can fill that in, -1/4 x, and then we know it's the intercept is a -2, and so our equation is created. So let's look at our next problem here, where they give us a slope, but they give us a point, but the point is the y-intercept, and so all we have to do is fill in into the m and the b. The m is the 4/3, and the y-intercept is 4, so it's a +4, and so we have our equation. Remember, we're only trying to find the slope and intercept, and y-intercept is always when x equals 0. So that's where x equals 0, so that's the y-intercept. So let's look at our next problem over here. It passes through. So now I have my intercept, which is -6, but I need my slope. So I'm going to use the slope formula. So -6 minus 10, and I always just take the first point and subtract the y's, and then I take the first point and subtract the x's. And keep in mind, that's a -4 and a subtraction, and you write them both. So when you do this, it's going to be a -16 over 4, which divides into a -4. So now we know our slope, so we can write our equation. So y equals -4x, and our intercept is a -6, so it's a -6, and we now have our equation. Sometimes the point is given to us, but not the intercept, so we have to find the intercept. So we're going to write our same equation, but this time we're going to use the point slope form to write the equation. So we don't have the slope, so we're going to use that. And our point slope is y minus y1 equals m, and then it's times x minus x1. And the reason for the little subscripts that you see here is that those will become numbers. The letters that don't have a little number underneath them will stay letters. So let's just fill in the blanks now. So we have a coordinate, 6 and -2. So the y coordinate's a -2. So I'm going to go y minus a -2 equals, and the slope, they tell us, is -4. So I'm going to put that in for the slope. And x minus the coordinate they give us, which is 6. So x minus 6. Now all we want to do is kind of simplify this or clean this up a little bit. So the double negative will be a plus. And we can leave this, or you can multiply it through if you'd like. And we have our equation that's in slope or point slope form. There's our equation. So let's look at our next example here, where we pass this to this point. We have our slope, so I'm going to fill in y minus 3 equals 1/2, and then x minus 2. And then we can just leave that problem in the point slope form and be done. Last one, we have that passes through -2 and a 1, and the slope is given in this form as a -3. So I'll go y minus a -1 and -3, x minus a -2. And I'm going to clean up both these negatives, so this is really y plus 1. I always like to write it first. That way I make sure I have every part, or have the point correct. All right, in this particular problem, we're going to write an equation, and they give us 2 points. So we can use the point slope, but we still need the slope. And so I'm going to go ahead and find the slope. Slope is always needed when you're writing an equation. So I'm going to go 7 minus a -3. I'm going to go -2 minus 3. And this will give us a 10 over a -5, which reduces to a -2. Now we know slope. I can pick one of the points. So I'm just going to pick the first one. And I can go y minus 7 equals negative 2, x minus a negative 2. And I can clean this up. Anytime you have a double negative, you want to go ahead and clean it up to a plus and have our equation.